Hello, welcome everyone. Welcome to our July meeting. We didn't have one in June because of the ACE conference. We've got this one today. Sorry for the delay. The backseat driver had technological issues. That would be me.
It's all those track competitions.
Yeah, I don't even know what screen I'm on right now, Paul.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been fun, interesting, and really pretty amazing. I'll put it that way. So I appreciate everybody taking the time to sit in with us again today. So we'll get through some things and just some general topic items to talk about, some updates. Joel, if you want to go ahead and start screen sharing, we'll start to work through our agenda.
Yep, it's coming here in just a minute. Just showed up on my inbox.
Ah,
Can we see? I hope so.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Awesome.
all right. So virtual roundtable, July 2022. Here we go.
Oh,
So
that's trippy. Okay, sorry, y'all. I'm just gonna keep working on this. Y'all go ahead. I'll figure.
I'll work through it on this part here. So again, I'm just gonna do just general reminders and stuff. Be sure and check out the online communities. All of them for a cool eye, not only the housing facility service. You have questions, please post them on there. I posted a couple last night. We'll get to that part as far as the conference stuff goes. You can go ahead and go to the next one, Joel. Next two, probably. Next three. Yeah, so just again, notes about today's session. These are just conversation based, not a traditional webinar type thing. More roundtable-ish. I'm looking for all kinds of information from just the participants in on this. So we'll go ahead and go through some updates. I know our conference committee's got, I hope, some stuff. And now that we're getting more direction on the conference. So either JJ, Aubrey, Allison, do you have updates for us?
I'll let Arbor go since she said the most direct conversation most recently.
Oh, there you go, Aubrey.
Coward.
You look good under the bus because that's just where JJ threw you.
It's okay. I'll take it.
I like to think I'm Delegrate.
Great. There we go.
I love it. So we are excited because we are for sure in person this year in New Orleans, September. You can see the dates right here, September 19th through the 22nd. Yes, we're all doing this. Yay. The call for programs is officially open and is currently open until August 1st. So if you have programs that you'd like to submit, the link is on the website. So please, please, please submit. If there are things that you're really interested in that you don't feel comfortable, obviously have enough information or want more information about something, put it in the chat and that'll help us to try to figure out, are there other programs that we should maybe be looking for experts to present at the conference on? We want to make sure that we put together the best content possible. We're obviously going to do some roundtables, all kinds of things. So we are very excited about that. We are also looking, if anyone on this call is interested and would like to review the programs, we're looking for volunteers to help us do that as well. So please feel free to reach out to Allison, JJ, or myself, and we'd be happy to share that information with you. So hope to see some or all of you in person here in September.
All right. So Joel, maybe after this meeting, you could take, if Aubrey, Allison, and JJ don't mind, you could put their information and send it out on the open forum as far as looking for those program reviewers. This is a very short window on these programs this year. Typically, this call comes out in March, April, and we would have been already been through the review process at this time, but it's like a 3-week window to submit programs and I think a 5-day window to review and put them out. So please, if you know someone who's would like to present, someone who you might think would be a good presenter, you yourself, and you've got some good topic information you think it'd be extremely valuable for the group as a whole, please get those synopsis and program session submissions, and the link is on actually, and I sent out through the open forum last night. I think I provided links to both the conference registration and also the program submission. So there'll be a busy one there. So all right, Joel, you're up. You have any updates for us?
There we go. Now I'm muted. All right, I'm muted. I've got double screen going now. I can see myself on multiple screens. So I don't know what I did, but at least y'all can see stuff. So I'm just gonna let it roll. But the no major updates here on my end of things. Just trying to manage through getting folks added and clearing out folks that have bounce back emails that they no longer are at that place. If you know that someone who was formerly actively in these meetings or on our listserv and they moved on somewhere else, if you could have them reach out to me so I can get them added back in, because as they leave and go somewhere else and then we get those undeliverable emails back, we just have nothing else to do but to remove them from the list. So we don't want folks to be missing out on things if they were anticipating getting some sort of updates from us. So but as always, if there's folks on your team, you're adding new hires, or you have other folks that you think should be a part of these, or at least be getting the communications from us, be happy to get them added. It's pretty quick and easy on my end. So just send those our way. Also keep an eye on all the emails from Akuai with they have different focus groups or roundtables. They also have the open forum and everything like that. So there's a lot of information in a lot of random places, but if there's ways that we can help streamline some of that and you have suggestions or ideas, we're always open to hearing some of that from y'all. So that's my blurb.
All right. Thank you for that. So just a couple of the other committees that we've got, and currently we don't have a committee subcommittee chair for the advancement of minorities and women in housing facilities. That's something that we need to we'll work on, but I think I had mentioned before, as far as just a kind of an overall restructuring of how this committee kind of looks like, I think we really need to look at some of that, and that meets in today's new world, some of the how some of the programs and just some of our the direction of the overall Akuai has changed and gone. I would like to see that subcommittee continue on, but probably more as a greater conversation in the DEI area, which is becoming really a strong force in our business. The Education and Resource Committee, again, that's one that's I think it needs to be a little bit more global than just kind of defined in a smaller group. We're continue to work on. We've got it's kind of like a focus group. We've got a focus group working that Paul has been extremely instrumental in, and some of the others on this call, and working on the facilities transition discussion and best practices is kind of like what I want to call it, and developing the best practices for if institutions are looking to transition housing facilities and blend it into main campus facilities, which happens. We had a really good meeting in June. I think it was June. We're having these meetings once a month, and I've got a slide on here that talks about our next meeting is this month, next week on the 27th. So if anybody wants to join in on that and some of that discussion, we can also get some of those topics out. Kind of working on a general outline of what we want that direction, what we really want this final paper and best practices to look like in the end. And I've got those meetings scheduled out for about the next 6 months to talk about it. Go ahead and go to the next slide there, Joel. All right. Nope. I'll talk a little bit more about that focus group in a second. So this is, we typically in the past years have had a sustainability committee within our housing facilities. We haven't had a chair for that for a while, but this is the roundtable discussion through the main ACUI. Lisa really does an outstanding job with these connections in this roundtable that she has. Next one scheduled for next week. Looks like probably the same time I have my facilities discussion on the transition part next July 27th, 3 p.m. Eastern time. So if you get a chance to stick in on that, please do. That'll be an important one. They always are as we continue to work on developing sustainability across campus with new technology and just new education. So, all right, next. All right, I don't know if Josh is on the call today. Josh is our liaison with the executive.
He's not. I gotta bounce back from him that he's on vacation for a while.
Is he? Okay. All right. So we don't have any direct report from Josh today from the executive committee. Okay, so to just kind of go back into the conference stuff, the conference call for programs. This came off a couple things for me, and mostly from what's on the website. Kind of what we're looking for program submissions under these general topics. Every one of these is good. They're important. They're current as to what we're living in, dealing with today. These are all the general administration subjects that I think if we can get some program submissions on would be outstanding. The next one is operations and maintenance. And these are kind of, for the most part, taken off of one thing I try to align some of this stuff with is the 4 core areas of Appa, since this is a housing facilities and Appa combined conference, and really trying to blend these 2 organizations together to a higher level. So you do have the 4 core areas: administration, operations, and maintenance. Then you've got energy, utilities, and your capital planning stuff. But under the operations and maintenance, we've got some KPIs. I think that's really important. That's something that we're really starting to look at here at Oregon, developing some and getting some really good information. So when we start getting asked questions, we've got the answers already. So we'll talk and having some a program around those, I think would be extremely beneficial for the conference. COVID resources, of course, and what's that going to look like going forward for a lot of us. So we can talk about that a little later. And then our other 2, energy and utilities, sustainability, environment, technology. What's happening with the technology in the energy and utilities, system monitoring, those challenges around that, costs around that, and what that means. And then capital planning, space, design, utilization for the future. So a little bit here, this is just me. Let's, what's it going to take? Rolling with the changes. We have a lot of them that comes, that's happening. What will the future look like for us? Planning during uncertainty and rapid change. How are we dealing with these kinds of things right now? And then managing organizational and operational change. I think these topics here are good. I think these are good roundtable discussions to have with within this group, to have within the conference itself, just to get the perspective of where everybody's and the uncertainty where the uncertainties that everyone has. I'm sure we all have some type of an uncertainty and how we're really having to try and predict the future. And just any help from any of us in a group to help guide some of that is important. I believe so. All right. Okay, this is a little bit of what I was talking about earlier. This facilities transition discussion, housing facilities transition to campus facilities. We do have a call next Wednesday again, 3 p.m. is Eastern. There's the link. If anybody would like to join, you can either send Joel an email, send me an email. We can provide you with that Zoom link. Joel, I don't know if you can paste that into the chat for anyone. But
I'll give it a try.
we welcome the discussion. We had like I was mentioning, we had a really robust discussion about this in our last meeting. A lot of different participants, a lot of institutional knowledge that's putting effort into this. I know Joseph's on the call today, Paul, for sure. We had April on the call last time. And it was a tremendous amount of just a really good discussion about this and helping guide the direction that this one's going. It's an important topic and has been for a long time. You'll have your pros and cons. That's what we're looking for. But we're just trying to answer. We're trying to ask all the questions and answer all the questions in order to give streamline the process down the road if this is, if it does take place on any campus. And I know we've got friends on this call and that we know and are aware of that have gone through this process. Some of the experiences have been favorable and some have not. So we'll continue with, but please join us next week if you've got that opportunity. So, all right. So here's some of the topics that I've come on to pick back up on and just see where everyone is with this and what you're looking at. Are you still having staff shortages? Is your summer conference schedule returned from pre-COVID back to pre-COVID consistencies? And what does your fall move-in look like? What do your numbers look like? So I'd like to hear the perspective from where everyone is on this one a little bit. Do you still continue to have hiring? Anyone pipe in and continue to have hiring issues? I know we were looking and we were kind of talking a little bit at the start of this meeting. We're currently holding the World Track Championships where we're housing somewhere around 4,000 athletes, support staff, media, officials, security personnel, FBI, to get ready for that. We were looking to hire about 250 temporary staff and we were able to hire about 25. And I'll tell you what, my staff has been amazing. They've been able to keep it up. They're tired, but their morale is good. It's been pretty amazing to watch them, but still the shortages. So are others still having troubles getting staff hired on for your summer turns, your deep cleanings, and going forward?
Yes, Steve, I don't know if y'all can hear me. I'm Craig with UNT. Hello, everybody. How we doing?
We're doing well. Thank you.
Good. Sorry about my tardiness. Popping from projects. Yes, I mean, to get some points about all three of your points to bring up their staff shortages. I think it's going to remain. I think one of our biggest challenges in Texas, like everybody else, is you lose people to positions that they're going to be compensated a little bit better for, and it's making it a little more challenging to fill those roles. So in that vein, that respect, you can kind of push your staff only X amount, but we're having to add contractor support in there a lot more than we anticipated this summer. I was planning on using a lot more of a summer paint crew for a lot of my make-ready paints, and that pretty much fell flat. It worked great previous year, actually previous 3 years, and this year we just had no luck at getting really good students, quite frankly, even paying a little bit better wages. So we've had to kind of facilitate that with contractors like everybody else has to do too. That's been kind of a challenge overall because it was an expense we didn't anticipate, but you got to roll with it because our fall move-in summer conferences is a lot bigger than it has been the last 2 years. And fall move-in, we're pretty much 101%. So we got to get ready no matter what we do. So I kind of said that all in one couple sentences.
Yeah. So on that topic a little bit, Greg, just to ask the question to you is that, so when you talk about fall move-in, your enrollment numbers higher? I mean, say compare it to pre-COVID. Where do you stand coming in with your fall numbers this year, say 2018, 2019?
So far ahead is hard. We had a big fall last year, actually from a COVID echo, is what I'll call it, if you will. I don't know if it's the right word, but it felt like last fall was pretty much a really return to the world, if you will, where people want to get out there and being on campus and things of that nature. Our freshman class is kind of blowing the charts off there. We're seeing anywhere from a 14 to 16% bump. Now, there are going to be some burn off to that as people modify their plans, and that's kind of what happened in the last 30 days. But given that, we're converting several of our rooms into triples that have been doubles historically, making some facility changes in that regard. So our assignments, people have more beds to work with, actually. We're actually looking at building another building. Now, the building won't be built by fall, unfortunately. Considering we're in pre-programming, it's going to be a little tall order. But we're kind of thinking about it right now. We're probably showing, north of 44,000 total students in the fall, when we were about 42,000 last fall. And that's actually a lot higher than it was in 2019, Steve. So it's just I don't really know what the Ryman region. We're seeing some pretty big graduating classes out of the high school ranks. So we'll kind of roll with it and see what we got to do. We want to take care of them the best we can. But our enrollment folks have been pretty aggressive, to say the least.
Yeah, that's the trend that we've seen here. We're going to have to triple up a tremendous amount more rooms to be ready for the incoming class. And yeah, the student recruitment groups did an outstanding job. Probably a record incoming freshman class this year at the University of Oregon. But and that's kind of a trend that I'm hearing across a lot of different institutions. There are off the chart numbers coming in, not only to the universities themselves, but to housing.
Correct. We do have a freshman requirement on campus, so we've got to house our freshmen, which has caused us to push our upper class students kind of out into the marketplace, if you will. And that's the only way we really take care of our freshmen that we've had committed to.
Yeah.
It's a good problem to have. It's better I'll tell you, it's better than a 60% occupancy during COVID.
Yeah, it is a good problem to have. And it's just it's bucking the trends, which has everybody questioning themselves right now. So we're hoping that the numbers stay strong, and then we're hoping that, might go back to normal. Because it's not necessarily the best for res life when you start having to triple up a bunch more rooms. It increases, obviously, their challenges on the conduct side of life. Others. How are others doing?
will say there was a fair amount of notes in the chat. So if you have that open, you might catch some info there too. Just wanted to throw that out.
All right.
Robin, in the chat, you talk about a change in your on-campus living requirement to 3 years. Is that going from 2 to 3 or 4 to 3?
Well, it's going from 2 years to 3 years. So we're adding another
Adding.
year versus going from 4 to 3. So we've always been a 2-year since, I think 2006 was the first year we had any type of requirement to live on campus. And so as of fall of 2023, we're going to the 3-year requirement.
And I assume that decision was made above your pay grade.
Way above my pay grade.
Robin, what school are you? I'm sorry. I'm just kind of.
I'm at Baldwin Wallace University, just outside of Cleveland.
Right. I know that. So.
Yeah, so we've got that. Allison, you talked about, so we talk about staff shortages and stuff, not being able to pay enough to recruit staff. So you find it, is it the pay that's holding this back? You know, our experience has been is that if we would offer, you know, $5 an hour more, from what we're hearing in the area and other regional companies, county governments and stuff, that they're offering significantly amount more, and they still can't get any applications enough to fill their positions. So is pay really the issue?
I will say, so I recently, I mean, mine was not for like custodial staff and facility staff, but for housing facilities professional staff member. And I had 7 or 8 applicants for it, and we ended up only having 2. I think I did 3 interviews because most people withdrew once they knew the salary. Yeah, and it doesn't pay well, but I obviously have no control over that. So so at least in this specific situation, it was definitely pay. But and I know that's something that other groups that I've been a part of in terms of just student affairs and higher education in general not paying enough to retain people. So
Yeah, that's interesting. You know, you get, for us, you get into the union environment and you're having to deal with the union contracts. It really kind of limits your flexibility on some of the moves that you can make. Most of the temp agencies, you know, were pretty much told us, unless you're going to pay a lot more money, we're probably not going to really be able to help you out much, of which they didn't. Some, but not much. We were able to get some of our facilities, campus facilities, custodial staff over, some of their day shift, their swing shift and night shift, and they've been a huge help for us this summer. And they've been putting in a big effort and a lot of overtime because they aren't offered overtime on the campus side. So they were pretty excited to be able to have that for this year. But the money, you know, being able to provide them with a higher wage salary just hasn't really been in the books. And then, you know, we were in a market this summer because of the world's coming in, and every restaurant and every business in town looking to staff up for all the attendees that were coming in. We were all trying to deal with all the same labor pool. So it's just, but it's been a challenge for everybody. Even the private businesses are in the same boat. They haven't been able to staff up where they wanted to be for this thing. So it's interesting. It's just the pay doesn't seem to be, for us, doesn't really seem to be a driving force in this.
I would just add that this is a challenge in all areas of housing, not just facilities.
Mhm.
Your Res Life staff are having a heck of a case trying to fill live-in positions and central office positions. It's a new world out there, and it's not pretty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with what Paul said. I mean, we try to do a kind of a sweeping overhaul of some of our operations from a salary standpoint and kind of reorganize some things, but the university didn't really tend to go too much of a fan for that process. So little by little, we're reclassing pretty much all the positions, kind of working through a process, and that seemed to have some limited success. You think about your custodial supervisors, your techs and things of that nature, and try to move them into different pay bands. That makes it a little bit more appealing. The problem is it just takes time. I believe it'll take a good 1 to 2 years to really have sweeping effect. And that's assuming a positive case.
It's also in the faculty realm too, by the way.
Mm.
It's not strictly in housing or student affairs. It's across the campus in most places.
Yep.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
saw
I'll-
Wayne's hand was up. I don't know if Wayne had something to add there. Wayne Galloway.
Yeah, just because we have had such shortages in our ranks, we had salary savings. So our previous director had negotiated with our union here to take that salary savings and be able to create a retention bonus of $2,000 and an incentive bonus for new hires for $2,000, which gets split. You get a certain portion at the start, and then if you're here a year later. But with that said, the retention bonus, those who were staying kept staying, so they're thankful. They appreciated the extra $2,000. But we still have had this steady departures, even though that means they got to give the $2,000 back. The incentive bonus, most people are not aware of it quite yet, so we haven't seen this is literally something last year or last month or so, but it definitely, once people recognize it, it definitely takes their mindset. And we've had a couple of people that have actually turned down the position because they know they're not going to be there a year. So at least that's helped us on the administration component of hire and let go, hire and let go, to be able to do that. So that's some of the things we're doing up here.
Yeah, some of those topics, we talk about, so, not only staff shortages, but, we've got staff that's going to be aging out and having to replace them. And, I think some of our challenges that are going to be coming up is a lot of the younger generation, how do we incentivize them or incentivize the physicians to be able to draw some of the younger generation into some of these positions? We talk about custodial, maybe not maintenance so much. There's still a lot of need and interest in the trades, which are highly needed. But in our facilities transition discussion a couple weeks ago, April Hicks-Convalinko, she really brought up a really good point. How to make these positions, and I know it's a challenge. How do you make a custodial position more glamorous, so to speak, in a recruitment process? How do you dress up those position descriptions? And so it's going to be upon us to really kind of get creative with some of this and still stay within some of, you still got to stay within the class standards and the position, especially when you're dealing in the unionized environment. But how are we going to make these things more appealing? So challenges, discussions, and I don't think it's going to be any one person trying to figure out. It's going to be, it's going to take a collective group to really talk through some of this and see what can be put together and what might work. So when you talk about you're doing significantly less conferences in the previous years, what do you think that factor is?
It was a decision by the university to just knowing what our staffing was. They made a decision early in the, literally last fall, to just keep reliable, the ones that had been with us prior, but not to expand beyond that, which was thankful because we've had challenges, as we already shared, of not just staffing on the custodial and facility side, but also on the res life side to handle them. So it was a good decision, give us a chance to also work out the kinks of not doing it for 2 years, which has been helpful too.
Yeah, that is, a well thought out decision. That's sometimes an anomaly in what we see.
I'm a little jealous.
Yeah, so am I. Our dining staff obviously has had the same issues. That it just, Tom, typically Tom likes to have, somewhere between 700 and 800 students, and we're languishing somewhere around 500, and the summers even being even worse. Even though we've got more program going on with the Worlds and having to deal with them. But it's Tom our dining has the abilities, if they don't have enough staff, he can close down one of his venues. We've got the new dining hall that opened up last year, that's got 9 different venues in it, that if he doesn't have enough staff, he just closes the venue. We get into the facility side of life. I don't know when was the last time when he said, any of us said, geez, I don't have enough staff today, so I'm just going to close that residence hall. It's not an option that we get to have. So it's just going to be a challenge, and I can see it. My worry is the staffing, and these staffing issues are going to be they're going to be with us for a bit. Next year we'll be telling, next summer when we get to this point, and what's it going to do, and how's that going to make us? How are we going to have to change some of our other operations in order to free up to be able to support some of our other groups, where we can bring positions in and say the maintenance side of life, or the labor crews or something, in order to help support the custodial staff or some of the others. So it's really looking at how our current operations, how we manage our current operations, and what we might have to do, which might seem radical in the future, to be able to get the work done with near the same amount of staff, if we can't get them in. So it's going to be fun times.
I think we're having some difficult conversations on our campus about doing less with less instead of that more with less that we're hearing for the many years. Is what programs, what services, what things we've done in the past are maybe outsourceable or we're not going to do anymore. And that's a tough discussion because typically we're in the environment of doing more. What can be the value add to these students of us doing more? But it really has to be you need to go back down to your mission and say, what's mission critical. And that's like that decision to cut your camps and conference program that school made. That's a tough one, but and the reality of your primary customers who really do pay the bill are going to not be able to have decent facilities because you've been flipping them 3 times and you haven't been flipping them well. That's the tough calls you need to make sometime. I think the other thing we're going to have to really look at too is, and I'm in a non-union shop, so I get to say this, probably, but for your folks in your union shops, what are your unions doing to fill their ranks too? Because the thing is, if they're not full, if your roster ain't full, their roster ain't full either. And so, I think there's ways we can engage whatever partners are out there, because we've had to engage in some of our even outsourced areas. Football game staffing that also helps us with move-in. We're helping recruit those people because we need to, because that they're not our, it's not us, but we need those bodies, and they need to, either that company needs those bodies. So we're going to put that out there on our social media to hire temporary staff through our vendor to staff our move-in, because we need to do that.
That's a really good point, especially when you start talking about the unionized environment and what will they do. We actually did have some discussion with some of our union leadership early on this summer, talk about they also represent other professions outside of the university, and we talked to them about well, can you go out and talk to some of these other areas that to help bring staff in for this for our summer needs and stuff. And it was a challenge. They were interesting conversations. Didn't really go anywhere. But it is a good point, and those are relationships that really have to be strengthened over time, I think. So that's a good point. And I suppose good advice for all of us to really take forward and work to build those and strengthen those relationships. So thank you for that, Aaron. What institution are you with, Aaron?
The one that doesn't know how to unmute. I'm at East Carolina University in Greenville, North Carolina. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for that. So, any other discussions? So,
can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just say it's interesting to hear a little bit from everyone, the challenges they face. I think someone said it earlier, we're kind of in unprecedented times because we're dealing with, how could I put this, the mood and things that are going on in the US, the world. We're coming out of COVID. The US, we have financial issues going on, the cost of living. We have SSC services here that provides all the maintenance, the custodial, landscape, grounds, you name it. And me and my staff, we are constantly chasing them. I mean, it feels like that's all we're doing, because the performance and their ability to keep up is way down. And we're seeing issues between camps and conferences as far as the make ready. And now the big concern is having everything ready before fall move-in, which is 4 or 5 weeks, which is almost kind of scary in a way. I mean, it's almost upon us. But, and when I have meetings with them, they're telling me that, we can't hire anyone. We're doing all these incentives. We've raised the hourly pay, and I get it. It's a really difficult situation because here they are hired under a contract to do a certain job and to perform. But at the same time, I get the problems they are having. But again, when the students, all they know is they pay their quite a bit of money to Residence Life to have a wonderful place to come and stay. And when they arrive, it better be ready. So there's all these challenges out there, and I hear everybody's facing different things. So it's, and another thing I see, and I think someone commented on this earlier, was that I'm starting to hear of a few people leaving the higher education field in the areas that we're familiar with, because 2 reasons. One, they can go somewhere else and make less pay, but also less stress. I mean, it seems more and more we're placing a lot more work on the core people that are here to keep things going, because there's less of the people that want to work and do the job out there. So it's kind of a vicious circle, in my opinion. And I'm not trying to have a doom and gloom scenario. I mean, these are just real things that we're all working with. Don't have, and I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't. But I'm hopeful things somewhere down the line will change.
Yeah, you talk about the unprecedented times, and they certainly are. JJ, you talk about, you associate director, student affairs positions. We've lost 1, 2, 3 of those so far this summer. And Star Res must be doing really well because our Star Res guru is jumping ship and going to work for them at the end of this week, which is, you know, that's going to be a challenge for anybody because it takes a special person that understands that program, that really knows how to manipulate it in a large organization. Those are few and far between.
Well, and it definitely creates a trickle down effect too, right? Because you got the folks that are leaving and they like someone who doesn't have a plan on leaving. And then all of a sudden they see how many other folks are leaving and they're smart enough to know. They're like, well, who's going to do that work? I better get out of Dodge before that person's whole job becomes my job. And it starts this vicious, almost, I don't know, rude way of looking at the organization in the sense of like, oh, I'm getting out of here before I get hit with someone else's responsibilities. And it's everywhere. Yeah. Like to what everyone has been saying, like it's multiple departments. It's all student affairs. It's other, my wife doesn't work in student affairs. She works on the academic side. She sees it over there. It's a scary way of looking at the higher ed in general right now. But we also know that the students that are showing up every year, their parents, whether they're paying for it or their parents are paying for it, they're expecting to have the works when they step foot on campus, and they don't care how short staffed you were. They don't care how many camps and conferences you ran through during the summer. And it's to Aaron's point about, you know, cutting back what can be cut back to mission critical type efforts. But even those you're looking at like, we still need people because at the end of the day, the revenue is your operating budget. And so they're not easy decisions by any stretch, but.
Yeah. Good
Well, I
point.
know, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Aaron.
I know our dining area is looking at more automated. You know, we have a salad robot already. We're going to have an Asian bowl robot this fall as well. So I think we're going to end up looking like hospitals too, and having, you know, are we going to be having Roombas going down the hallway? I don't know. I mean, there's going to be some version, you know, there's going to be some commercialized version of that. Does a hallway need to be vacuumed by a human being? You know, I think we're going to be seeing that more of that because as the labor cost goes up, all of a sudden a robot becomes affordable. You know, and you're not stealing anybody's job if nobody's applying for it. But I think we're going to see vendors come in with automation. You know, I think we've seen that a lot in the hospital field, you know, those long hallways and corridors. Our current local hospital has floor cleaning robots that going through and cleaning those floors. I can imagine that there's parts of the university doesn't really fit well for a residence hall, but I imagine some of our academic buildings might have robots in them in the near future, cleaning and waxing the floors.
Sure.
Yep. That's very true. That's a good topic. All right. Well, we are nearing the end of our hour. Paul, I think I'll send you a definition of retire.
I have failed retirement.
That's okay. We're glad that you failed. You have got so much to give and present and have given so much. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to pipe in a little bit. Steve, Joel had sent me kind of an email. You were talking about a little information looking for the Appa for this on a Appa CEFP program.
Yes, I have one staff member of mine that I've encouraged to go ahead and get it. You know, between now and August 31st, we will be transitioning out of the Department of Residence Life and becoming part of the university facilities. A lot of things going on at this time, interesting things. But I encouraged her to do it, so she's in the process of doing this. So just want to see if anyone was looking for a little bit of feedback for her while she works through the learning process before the test comes.
Okay. Are they currently enrolled in the program?
They are. She is. Yes.
Okay, so she's currently in a cohort group then.
Right. My two other staff members are, well, one's retiring and one's right behind. Great, right? When we're all short.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be looking at see who we can hire to fill positions later and how this new, not sure what to call it, new regime works. But anyway.
Okay. If you want, if you want to have them, have her reach out to me. I'm involved in that program with Appa.
Okay. Okay.
I actually help Kelly Ostergrantz, the Appa
Yes.
coordinator for that program.
Yeah.
And I help her facilitate some of the cohort groups once in a while.
Okay.
So if you want to have her reach out directly to me, I'll answer whatever questions I have and stuff.
Be glad to.
Go ahead.
No, I'll be glad to. Thank you.
Yeah. I actually had the opportunity. Kelly's done an amazing job with this program over the last now 6 years. I had the opportunity to actually be in the very first cohort group in 2016. So it's an amazing program, and
Yeah.
it's very beneficial to help as far as the training and help everybody get through it. So have her reach out to me, and I'll answer what I can.
I'll do it. Thank you.
All right. With that, we're at 1 minute past. I really appreciate everybody's input again today. We don't currently have an August meeting scheduled because obviously it's right at the middle of move-in for many schools. The September meeting is actually scheduled for the Monday, the week of our conference. So we'll look at that and see if we might do something face-to-face in September in New Orleans. So again, thank you, everyone. You have any questions, any input, send us all an email, send Joel an email, and he'll get it out to the rest of us, or post it on the online community. Other than that, thank you all and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everyone. Great to see you.